So, this is actually my first vlog. I've never really done anything like this before, but I thought, why not start with a trip to Italy? Right now I'm at Amsterdam airport, just walking around with my suitcase, heading to the gate, and honestly, I'm pretty excited because in a few hours I'm going to be in Naples. So yeah, let's see how this trip goes. Alright, we're on the plane. Now I just need to find my seat. The flight from Amsterdam is about 2.5 hours, so not too bad. After landing, I had to find the Alibus stop. It's one of the cheapest ways to get from the airport to Naples. Just €5 per person. And honestly, the weather was already crazy hot. We had only just arrived and I was already sweating. After checking in, I decided to go out and explore Naples. And the first thing I noticed, Maradona. He was literally everywhere. On the walls, on the streets, in the shops.
Thank you. Have a nice
In
day.
Naples, Maradona isn't just a football legend. He's basically a god here. Naples was packed. There were people everywhere, and honestly, most of them seemed to be tourists. I never expected to see Naples this busy. Before coming here, I'd heard so many stories about the city not being safe. But after seeing it for myself, it really didn't feel like that at all. Sometimes you just have to see a place for yourself instead of believing everything you hear. You could see people selling all kinds of things on the side of the road. The streets were busy, noisy, and full of life. It doesn't feel too polished or perfect, it feels real. The restaurant staff were literally standing outside, trying to convince you to come in and eat. You can definitely tell they're not shy about getting customers in Naples. Then we saw a restaurant selling a whole pizza for just €1.50. €1.50 for a whole pizza. That's actually crazy, especially these days. I mean, where can you get a whole pizza for that price anymore? Then I came across this clothing shop, and honestly, I was surprised. They had really good quality summer clothes, and the prices were actually really good. I was looking at the clothes thinking, how is this so cheap? If you found the same quality in the UK, Germany or Holland, I swear you'd probably be paying 3 times the price.
Yes, thank you.
I definitely wasn't expecting that from Naples. And the more we walked around, the more I realized there were so many little shops like this. You can actually find some really nice things without spending a
Thank you. Have a
fortune.
nice day.
So yeah, Naples was already starting to win me over. Naples really has its own energy at night. The streets were still full of people, the restaurants were busy, the shops were open, and everywhere I went, I could hear the sound of a city that was still alive. Honestly, I really enjoyed walking around Naples at night. It just had a completely different feeling compared to the daytime. What I really liked was that it didn't feel like the city was trying too hard to entertain you. It just felt natural. People were sitting outside restaurants, talking, eating, laughing, walking through the streets. And there was always something happening around me. Naples is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, with a history going back almost 3,000 years. And you can really feel that history when you walk around. You have these old buildings and narrow streets right next to modern shops, restaurants, scooters, and everyday life. And then, of course, there's the food. Naples is the birthplace of the famous Neapolitan pizza, so you're basically surrounded by pizza everywhere you go. And then there's one person you simply cannot escape in Naples, Diego Maradona. You see his face everywhere, on walls, shirts, murals, souvenirs, even inside small shops. But why is Maradona so important to Naples? He arrived in 1984, when Napoli signed him from Barcelona for a world record transfer fee. And what happened next completely changed the city. Maradona didn't just become a great player here, he became a symbol of Naples. In 1987, he led Napoli to their first ever Serie A title, something that had seemed almost impossible for a club from the south of Italy. And he did it again in 1990. For the people of Naples, this was about much more than football. Napoli had finally beaten the powerful northern clubs and reached the top of Italian football. Maradona gave the city something to celebrate and someone to believe in. That's why, even decades after he left Napoli, his image is still everywhere. To understand how much Maradona means to Naples, you really have to come here and see it for yourself. Alright, Naples was amazing, but it was time for the next adventure. I was heading to Positano. You know those places you keep seeing on Instagram and think, is it actually that nice in real life? Well, I was about to find out. Positano is famous for its colorful houses, steep cliffs, beautiful beaches, and those crazy views over the sea. And after Positano, I was also heading to Amalfi. So basically, I was going from one beautiful place to another. Let's see if Positano is really as good as everyone says. Alright, now I had to make my way down to the beach and just look at this view. The houses, the sea, the mountains, everything looks crazy from here. But there was one small problem. It was hot as hell. And I kept walking down thinking, okay, this is fine. I'm going to have to walk back up later. But that's a problem for future me. The good thing is, going down was easy. And somehow I was still enjoying it. On the way down to the beach, I had to walk through these tiny streets. The roads are so narrow, you sometimes wonder how cars even fit through here. And there are little shops everywhere. Clothes, souvenirs, food, pretty much everything. You can just keep walking down, taking random turns, and somehow there's always another shop or another view. While I'm walking through Positano, let me tell you a little bit about this place. Positano actually has a pretty interesting history. The area was already being used thousands of years ago, and during Roman times, wealthy Romans came here to enjoy the coastline and built luxury villas. There's actually a Roman villa right here in Positano that has been discovered and excavated. But Positano wasn't always the tourist hotspot you see today. For a long time, it was basically a small fishing village. People here lived from the sea, fishing and trading. And the beach was filled with fishing boats rather than tourists. And then things slowly changed. Today, Positano is one of the most famous destinations on the Amalfi Coast. You can see tourists everywhere, especially during the summer. People come here for the beaches, the views, the food, the little streets, and obviously these famous buildings built into the cliffs. And honestly, I can understand why. The funny thing is, when you're walking around here, you sometimes forget that people actually live here. Because everywhere I look, there are tourists taking pictures, people shopping, restaurants packed with people, and everyone trying to get that perfect Positano photo. And I'm definitely one of them. The Amalfi Coast as a whole is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of its combination of incredible landscape, historic towns, terraces, and centuries of human settlement. So this place went from Roman holiday villas to a fishing village. Alright, Positano done. Next stop, Amalfi. I'm taking the ferry, which is honestly the easiest way to get there. No traffic, no stress, just sit back and enjoy the view. This is the Amalfi Cathedral right in the heart of Amalfi, and honestly, the first thing you notice is the stairs. There are so many of them, but the cathedral itself has a pretty incredible history. It dates back to the 9th century and is dedicated to Saint Andrew, the patron saint of Amalfi. The front you see today has been changed and rebuilt over the centuries, so you can actually see different influences in the architecture. And right in front of it is this huge square, which is basically the center of Amalfi. So you've got this beautiful historic cathedral surrounded by cafes, shops, and tourists everywhere. It's kind of funny when you think about it. People have been coming to this same spot for centuries, and now I'm here doing exactly what every tourist does. Alright, time to see Amalfi from the sea, because apparently walking around wasn't enough. Now I need to see it from a boat too, and honestly, look at this. Amalfi looks completely different from the water. The whole town is basically squeezed between the mountains and the sea. Everything was going perfectly until suddenly it started raining. Like, seriously? One minute I am enjoying the sunshine, and the next minute I am looking for somewhere to hide. Classic Italian weather. And of course this had to happen right before I was heading back to Naples. Back in Naples, I came across Galleria Umberto I, and honestly, what is this place? I walked in and immediately looked up. This massive glass roof, all these beautiful details, and people just walking around like it's completely normal. It's basically a giant shopping gallery, but it feels more like you've walked into a palace. I wasn't even here to shop. I just wanted to look around and get some good shots. Naples really does have some surprises hiding around every corner. Before heading to Pompeii, I wanted to spend a little more time just walking around Naples. No big plans, no tourist spots. I just wanted to see what everyday life here actually looks like. People going to work, shops opening, locals having a coffee, scooters flying past me. Just normal life happening all around me. And honestly, I think this is one of the best ways to experience a city. Sometimes you don't need a plan. Just walk around, get a little lost, and see what you find. So before I went to Pompeii, I just enjoyed Naples like a local, or at least tried to. And then I met Maradona. Well, not exactly. It was a Maradona look-alike, walking through the streets wearing the Argentina shirt. People immediately started laughing, taking pictures with him, and stopping him every few seconds. And honestly, he was loving the attention. For a second I thought, okay, Maradona is really everywhere in Naples. Even the lookalikes are celebrities here. After that, it was time for Pompeii. I walked to the train station and got my ticket for about 4 euros. And apparently I wasn't the only one with the same idea. The train was packed. It looked like everyone in Naples had decided to visit Pompeii on the exact same day. After a busy train ride, I finally arrived in Pompeii. Then it was time to get the entrance ticket, 20 euros. A little more than the train ticket, that's for sure. But I was finally here, so let's see what Pompeii is all about. Before I start exploring Pompeii, here's a little bit about this place. Pompeii was an ancient Roman city near Mount Vesuvius, and in the year 79 AD, everything changed. Mount Vesuvius erupted, sending ash and volcanic material over the city. Pompeii was buried, and for centuries it basically disappeared from the world. What makes Pompeii so incredible is that the eruption preserved so much of the city. You can still walk through the ancient streets, see houses, shops, temples, restaurants, and even the marks left by people who lived here almost 2,000 years ago. It's almost like the city was frozen in time. And now I was about to walk through the same streets where people lived their everyday lives nearly 2,000 years ago. This is the Great Theater of Pompeii, and this place is seriously old. The theater was built more than 2,000 years ago, around the 2nd century BC, and thousands of people could come here to watch performances. Just imagine sitting here 2,000 years ago watching a Roman play. But then I noticed something that was a little more modern. A toilet, yes, a modern toilet, inside a place that is 2,000 years old. So you've got ancient Roman walls, ancient architecture. Alright, Pompeii done. It was time to head back to Naples. I walked back to the station, got on the train, and just relaxed for the ride back. After all that pizza and pasta, I decided I needed a little change for my last night. So I went for Indian food. Honestly, after eating Italian food for almost the whole trip, it was actually nice to have something completely different. And then, just like that, the trip was almost over. The next day, I headed back to the airport. But before leaving Italy, there was one thing I had to do. One last Neapolitan pizza, because obviously I couldn't leave Naples without having one more. And then it was time to say goodbye to Italy and head back home. It It was a short trip, but I got to see Naples, Positano, Amalfi, and Pompeii. And honestly, I had a great time. Definitely a trip I won't forget.
Ik maak u attent op de berichten van